Okay, let's look at some PowerShell tools for managing Active Directory. Now, I'm not going to go real deep into any of these. I just want you to see what's available. So I'm going to open up PowerShell. And there is before I open that up real quick, there is over here a Tools and Active Directory module for Windows PowerShell. And that opens up Active Directory, or opens up Windows PowerShell with the Active Directory module preloaded, which is great because you have access to all of the Active Directory commands. However, that's not necessarily needed anymore. If we right click and go to Windows PowerShell admin, it doesn't automatically load our um, it doesn't automatically load our Active Directory module. However, as soon as we do something that requires it to search for an Active Directory command, it will find it. Now, let me bump up this text size here a little bit, make it a little bit easier to read. All right, so we have a bunch of commands to manage Active Directory, and we'll look at just a few of them here. So I'm going to do get command to get us our list of commands. And I want everything that's related to AdUser. And so AdUser is going to work with Active Directory users. So I can get AdUser, I can create a new AdUser, I can remove an AdUser, and I can set an AdUser. Set is the one that gives us the option to manage. So I've got AdUser, I have AdGroup, which will let me manage groups. So the same thing, get, new, remove, set. And I have the same thing for organizational units. Oops. Hit the wrong key. And so I can get, new, remove, and set organizational units. All right. Now, remember to get more information on any of these, we'd use get help. Now, my help hasn't been updated on here. I'm not going to take the time to use it or to update it, but it would be get command, or not get command, sorry, get help. Let's do AdUser for information on how to run the get AdUser command. And I'm not going to do the update right now. But this will give us all of our information. And remember, one of the best things that we can do when we're learning this is to do the dash examples. And I don't have any examples because I haven't updated my help files yet. But that's going to give us examples of how these commands can actually work. And that's going to be really useful. For me, that's one of the best ways to at least get an idea of how commands work. And then if I want more detailed information, then I'll look at the parameters and syntax up here a little bit closer. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of these. Now, one thing to be aware of is when you're using these AD commands, you're going to need to do filtering. So if I do get AdUser, it's going to ask me what filter do I want. So if you want everything, then you can do get AdUser asterisk. If I could type. And that's going to give you, well, under this one it won't, can't find an object with an identity asterisk under, now remember we looked at this in the ADAC, this is going to be DC Dalton local. Can I look for a specific user? Well, let's do get AdUser, and I have a user here, username ddalton, and that will find it for me. It doesn't like the asterisk for get AdUser, but it does like setting a specific username. And then it's going to give me information about it. So this is going to be the full name. So the common name is David Dalton. Under common name users, under domain controller for Dalton, under domain controller for local. It is enabled and it gives me a little more information. Now, like most things, this is not the full information about the user. Let me do get AdUser S Seaborn. All right, and here's my information for Sam Seaborn. Now remember, that's only part of it. If I want to see everything, all of the different options, then I can pipe that to get member, and I have a sneaking suspicion I'm going to have to pipe this to more. It's actually fairly straightforward. So here are a bunch of properties for, now notice I have very few properties here. Where did all of my other information go? Well, it's actually there. It's just not available through this particular commandlet. So if you want more information, then you might need to look at something like, if you want to set more options, you might need to look at something like set AdUser, which is going to give you some more options here of things that can be set. So a very common way of dealing with this is to pipe commands together. So we'd get AdUser, let me use ddalton because it's shorter, pipe that to set AdUser, and then I'd set whatever options I wanted for that particular user. Okay, so those are the base commands. Now there's a whole lot more inside Active Directory and PowerShell. Remember, if you can do it in the GUI, you can do it in PowerShell. So there is a whole lot more. But just remember, to get started, we're going to look for commands related to AdUser, AdGroup to manage our groups, and AD organizational unit to manage our organizational units. So not a whole lot. We're actually going to deal with this more in another class, so don't worry about it. But I did want to give you enough that you can start exploring if you want to. So hopefully that'll give you enough to get started with working with Active Directory using PowerShell.